Ball and Winston, potentially a Pharah in the mix, but at least hovered over in the spawn right now. We're not seeing too much of that so far. It's looking like Reinhardt for Ivy Azure with the Symmetra to look kind of gives you more sustained power over the Reinhardt, but Reinhardt can just kind of go a little bit faster, do a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we were seeing each team kind of tease there, or at least we're seeing EMC Orpheus coming out with that Bastion. So it's going to be really interesting to see, but they both want TP2 point. Both these comps are based on just getting to point and setting up, and you're already seeing an all-out brawl heading there right now. Each team vying for space at the moment, as you do see both tanks trying to just create that for their teams with their Ink getting a very aggressive right now, trying to walk into Ivy Azure. Nice ice wall coming out there from Ace, and it will be Crimson fighting Cook here first, and now that gives a huge advantage here to Ivy Azure, but they are still in this fight is Orpheus, but finding Jedi Penguin and finding Fancy there, it's huge for them because Ivy Azure just lost the main support for them. TP coming out to maybe potentially get them out. No, they want to go in. They want to find Jedi Penguin. That's exactly what they're going to do. That level 3 beam is absolutely scary. If you are standing in front of it, Crimson just melting people down. Will be Ink finding a javelin kill there onto them to even it all out. Ace finds one right back and is immediately traded out there by Cook. However, they just need to get rid of these last two members of Ivy Azure, and you start to see him back up here. EMC Orpheus will eventually, probably at the end of this fight, finally take the point.
Yes, indeed, but it's kind of back and forth. Just we're all still even going now. The question is, where are these picks going to end up?
Yeah, you do see Fantasy pick up Baptiste main there, but I mean, again, this map, or this point in particular, always kind of leads into this, hey, these fights can last forever. Eventually, you're going to give up the point, as you do see it happen here with Ivy Azure finally taking the point for the first time.
Yeah, and something that happened in that patch yesterday that we didn't really highlight all too much was the fact that Symmetra reduced HP. Both Symmetras obviously losing 25 HP back down to 200 total. So while that level 3 beam is still definitely scary, it creates just kind of a little bit when she uses it.
Dueling amateurs coming out, both teams finding one to be coming out here from Ivy Azure to try to keep them supported through this one. The Shadow comes out from Connor, not able to find anyone now. The Terror Surge coming out from Ink, but a nice photon barrier block most of that damage. However, it's still able to find Ace there. Crimson immediately trades out Ink. Esker, though, will fall there. Ivy Azure still holding on this point, but they're losing numbers, and they're losing their main tank there as well. And eventually, EMC Orpheus will be able to retake the point.
In just a chaotic fight, both teams dumping a lot of ultimates. It is going to be EMC Orpheus coming out, not just in terms of getting the point, but they're going to have a bit of an ult advantage as well. They still have their sim wall in the back pocket, as well as these mortar strikes on the Bastion, but Ivy Azure going into this next fight, if they can TP this Blizzard onto somebody, especially the Baptiste, it could just be a clean fight from there.
Well, there's going to be no TP for them as Crimson goes off of the Symmetra now over to the Soldier, and so they're looking for a little bit further. They want to be a little bit further away, but still be able to provide a lot of damage right here. But like you said, EMC Orpheus does have this whole advantage of having a lot of ultimates at their disposal. Baptiste main will be a big one for them here, especially to live through Ace's Blizzard. But each team just kind of poking at each other right now, wanting to make the other team have the first mistake here. You do see the photon barrier come out from Cook right there, but it gets denied by Ace. The beat coming out, it will be EMC Orpheus just rolling through Ivy Azure here.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful eat on the Blizzard. It definitely, I mean, your team probably could have sustained through it, right? You have the Immortality field. Orisa's Fortify allows her to just ignore that, but still, it's just a lovely eat. So now Ivy Azure, you're gonna have to push in here with simply the Amplification Matrix online. And sure, the Sojourn gives you more long-range damage, but it's just when you're being held this tight in a little choke point, it's hard for the Sojourn to find any value with the rail.
Like you said, the damage coming up here, I imagine Jedi Penguin would use the artillery here to try to counter out, but they do find one huge pick with a fire strike there on the Baptiste to get it all started. Nixo does have their own damage ready to go, and you see it come out and immediately finds 1, 2, make it 3. Can they find a fourth one? They don't need to. They've already done the damage here. Only one character left here for Ivy Azure. Esker will eventually fall, and EMC Orpheus will take the first point.
Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of a difference in compositions there. The Orisa able to bunker down a lot more defensively against the Reinhardt, and Ivy Azure, every single time they tried to push in, once they were off the sim, they really didn't have enough sort of manpower to do anything, right? They're looking for railgun shots, and when you're just stuck in that choke, as I said before, you can't do anything. So now that we're heading to Control Center, you're definitely going to see the switch to both teams now onto the Orisa. But the question is, what are we playing alongside it? Some teams opt in for Sim, some teams opt in for Mei. And I feel like even though Mei got a slight nerf to the slow, Mei is just really, really strong with that left click freeze right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm honestly kind of surprised we're seeing two Orisas coming out here. I normally think of this map, even though it's a Brawl map and Orisa does play into Brawl, being a little bit more of a Rhine-centered map. But hey, we saw EMC that really have their Orisa take a lot of space and help them out. Maybe Ivy wants to try to do the same thing this time.
Yeah, indeed. So now it's just going to be a poke fight, control for white here, and seems as though cooldowns are just being forced. There's going to be just kind of waiting for point to unlock before anybody can decide where they're going.
Yeah, you do see Connor use Fortified there a little bit early, and look what EMC immediately does right after that. Go fast into them, trying to find a kill there. It will be Jedi Penguin finding Ace right there. Now Connor's kind of sectioned off from everyone, but Crimson finding two huge picks to give Ivy back in advantage and still being able to pump in a lot of damage in that assault mode. However, it looks like Ivy Azure at the end of the fight will be able to take the first point capture here, while everyone else in Orpheus trying just to get out.
Yes, indeed, and they're going to be sent reeling there by Ivy Azure, who quickly is building up. There's going to be an amplification matrix for both sides, so I'm expecting another fast push from EMC to set this window up somewhere and just spray your Bastion through it.
And you see it come out from Nixo right there. They're immediately going to try to take point off that. And Jedi Penguin able to find Fantasy is huge to them because now they know there's going to be no Ant Matrix coming out from Ivy. Ivy maybe backing up off this one, not want to lose anyone else, but Esker not able to get themselves out of there fast enough, and they're only losing more members.
Yes, indeed. You're looking for the stagger picks now onto Ivy, but it seems as though they are going to be able to get back to their spawn and let the supports fall in that fight. And now, Ivy, you're going to be able to push in. You could potentially TP your Orisa or your Bastion in and just do tons of damage from a side nobody's expecting.
Artillery coming out here from Crimson want to build some space up, maybe force out some ultimates. You do see the beat come out there from Baptiste. The Terror Surge from Connor does not find anything. Now the beat coming out from Esker, as well as the Photon Barrier there from Ace. Ivy is investing a lot of ultimates into this fight, but a Blizzard from Coke is all they need to find Connor, and that might be all they really need to do in this fight. Fantasy, though, does find Baptiste to even it out there. Ivy does have the numbers advantage right now, but still looking for another pick. The Wheels mode comes out there from Jedi, but it will not be a problem there as Ace takes care of them. Cook, they will be able to take care of Ace. However, at the end of the fight, Ivy Azure will win it and retake point.
Yeah, indeed, and sure, they definitely had to invest a fair amount of ultimates, but they're still holding onto this amplification matrix for Fantasy, as well as Crimson's already halfway back to those mortars, so potentially if you can get the window down quick for Ivy, they could snowball this into more percentage.
Yeah, but I would imagine it would be something that we saw on the first point where we see dueling windows. Yeah, here comes a window out from Ivy and Orpheus there. Already Ink and Jedi Penguin able to find two objects. So already a lot more value coming here from the window from Nixo. And you see what that does. Make it three. The last two members of Ivy trying to get out. And they will be able to, but the point is back in control of EMC.
Yeah, and now EMC, they can decide where their hold occurs. They're going to have the Terror Surge. They could combo it with the mortars. And if the fight goes long enough, they're going to be able to build another May Blizzard. That's truly the advantage they have over Ivy's comp here. This May is just so destabilizing for anywhere Ivy wants to move.
Yeah, here comes that combo you were talking about of the Terror Surge and the Artillery. But looks like it won't really find a lot of value there. However, you do see the Immortality Field come out from Fantasy. Jedi Penguin will be able to find Connor there with that Artillery Strike at the very end. And you just see Esker there just kind of accepting death, wanting to regroup with their team for what could be the final fight.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to stagger yourself out at all. Just die quickly. That way you can get in with your team for this final fight. But the question is, they're going to be pushing straight into a Blizzard at the choke point. You see EMC holding close.
They're able to TP through. They have to be watching out for the Blizzard. They're not going to be able to eat it there. Now the Artillery coming out here from Crimson. They need to open up something with it here, but they're not going to be able to find anyone with it. It will be Cook finding one, and now you're just seeing more and more members of Ivy falling here. Crimson trying to do whatever they can to keep the hope alive. Ace going to get pinned to a wall there, and EMC Orpheus will take the first map.
Yeah, I mean, EMC Orpheus, like, obviously, you know, both teams have Lucio, so it's not necessarily a speed-in game that I'm referencing here, but just the tempo that they were able to play the game at, always taking fights first, always being the one to set the pace of the fight, it just gave them such a huge advantage over Ivy here on this first map, and if I'm Ivy, you know, you gotta sort of figure out either how to match the tempo or how to slow the game down.
Yeah, I mean, we did. It was a little bit back and forth there on that first point, and on the second point, a little bit as well. It really just came down to Ivy when they were able to find an early pick or two. It really did help them out, but just more and more throughout that first map there, EMC Orpheus, it seemed like they were kind of more, a little bit smarter. I want to kind of phrase it. I'm not phrasing it the best, but it seemed like they knew when they lost fights, so they would quickly get out, try not to stagger themselves a little bit there. And we did see it there towards the end. Ivy Azure really did learn or pick up on that as well. They once they realized they were losing a fight, they all tried to get out. We saw Esker there just kind of accept death rather than continue to fight because they needed to get back and regroup with their team.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And so you're already seeing the cogs turning, so Ivy can definitely step back into this one. Depending on sort of map selection, right, they could sort of change strategies and look for opportunities that way. Because currently, if you're looking at just a raw Orisa mirror, yeah, I feel like you at least have to play the Mei into it as well. I feel like you can't opt into the Sim at all. Mei is just far too strong. 100 damage per second on that ice is just lethal for anything that's trying to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. But what it seems like the one thing I'm taking away from that first map there is when we're going into a brawl v brawl kind of matchup there, EMC will come out on top, but with we know what the second map is. We will be heading to Kings Row, another kind of brawl centric map. Maybe though, Ivy Azure might be one of those teams that I've started to see a little bit more poke and even some dive come out here on Kings Row recently. So maybe they want to try to play into that.
Yeah, no, I actually agree wholeheartedly. I've seen a lot more dive than I've ever expected on Kings Row. Ever since Overwatch 2 started, really. It sort of changed how the map plays simply because you don't have that second tank anymore beside you. There's a lot of high ground to take advantage of and things like that, as well as there's room for snipers to play. So it'll be interesting to see with Ivy picking this. Potentially they want to lean more into that Sojourn that they showed off on that first round of Lijiang Tower. But I feel like if you are truly trying to take a rush mirror, then you've already doomed yourself. So I'm hoping they have something else cooked up for this.
Yeah, but with Kings Row is one of those maps, much like Lijiang Tower. It's a map you've played, a map you scrimmed so much that you feel confident no matter what. Remember, Ivy picked that first map of Lijiang. They're picking the second map here as well, Kings Row. And honestly, I feel like if these two maps are in the map pool, they will always kind of be picked. If they're not going to be picked, it's because another team wants to throw a curveball out there. So, in my opinion, Ivy Azure, coming into this map picking Kings Row, they feel most confident on this map. They probably feel the most comfortable going into it. So I have to give them the benefit of the doubt here that they're going to be able to bounce back from that performance that we saw on Lijiang Tower.
Oh, yeah, no, I fully believe that they can bounce back, but I'm just kind of interested in exactly what we're going to be running because we've seen so many looks for Kings Row, right? As we talked about, there's and dive looks and things like that, as well as the OG Rush variants. But if we're looking at what is the quote-unquote hard meta, at least up until yesterday, Sigma has pretty much been a must-pick, especially into the Bastion and the Mei, simply because he's one of the few tanks that can sustain all of that damage, of course, with the help of a Baptiste on his side. But stuff like the kinetic grass to eat energy, as well as just the damage that Sigma can output, potentially could be an opening here for Ivy if they want to play it.
Yeah, and we're talking a lot about the tanks here, and so far the two tanks have looked really good for their teams. Ink and Connor Mormon have looked really good, but Ink has been kind of the one that kind of has set that tone so far for tank play. They've been able to take space, and provide pressure that has really allowed their team to kind of do a lot more stuff around them because they are taking so much attention away from the enemy team or away from Ivy Azure, Ivy, to focus on them.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It comes back to what I was talking about with setting tempo, right? It's just a matter of EMC Orpheus is just going at such an insane fast pace, and that's going to come from the back of the tank, right? The tank is probably the main one making calls for the team to be able to go in and engage and stuff like that. And being able to recognize that your team is ready and being able to execute that quickly, I mean, that's something that can give you a massive advantage regardless of compositions played. So, I mean, EMC Orpheus can keep playing like that after Lijiang, especially here on Kings. I fully see them. They could just dominate this series if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we head into Kings Row here, Ivory Azure would love to find a map win here before we head into our first break. It evens up the series, but more importantly, it keeps them away from being, it keeps EMC Orpheus away from being at series point. But Megalas, Ivy Azure coming out with a Junker Queen.
They're still in attacker spawn, so I'm going to hesitantly look at the Junker Queen. That's going to be the word I use there, because if you truly are running out on the Junker Queen, that's a gambit. That you have no way to pressure high grounds or anything like that. So you're kind of assuming what the other team is running without being able to see them. But, for the other side, EMC Orpheus, they are going to be on that Sigma variation. This is kind of what has been distilled to be the meta, right? You have the Bastion May with the Sigma, Baptiste Lucio. Everybody's able to sustain for a long time, do a lot of damage over time. And yeah, Ivy Azure actually going to stick to this Junker Queen. The question is, where's the value going to be when you get walled?
Yeah, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this first fight goes here, because Ivysaur, in my opinion, wants to try to play this a little bit fast, but Hutchie already getting a lot of damage. And Hutchie actually coming in for the first time here. I forgot who they were coming in for on the DPS line there for Ivysaur, but you do see Ivysaur here do provide a lot of pressure already, forcing EMC Orpheus back into that little corral back there. You do see the disruptive shot coming out here from Hutchie, looking for anyone they can. They're going to be able to find Baptiste Main there. A great opener here for Ivysaur. They just need to convert it into two, but Nixo will immediately shut down Crimson there. Jedi Penguin trying to do whatever they can, throwing that grenade in there, gonna be able to find anyone but Connor Mormon, able to find Cook there. And now, honestly, that really opens up a lot, getting rid of that May. That Ice Wall is such huge value, and with that gone, you see already Orpheus falling back.
Yes, indeed, they might come in for a last-minute recontest on the point as you see them moving forward here with the Sigma, but without the May, because the May's not back yet, you're not going to really have a lot of zoning power.
Yeah, you do see the Immortality Field come out to make sure that Connor is able to stay alive through it. Now the the Amp Matrix coming out here from Nixo, but they lose their tank there. Hutchie with a huge shot. Baptiste Main will find Fancy right back, but you do lose the other Baptiste there of Nixo. Connor going in at the moment. Jedi Penguin though shutting down Crimson again. That's Hutchie with a nice shot there on the Jedi Penguin. And Ivy Azure, once they get rid of this Lucio here, gonna be able to cap first point.
As you said, I can't quite remember who Hutchie came in for, but Hutchie definitely making their presence known in the server right now. I mean, there was so much value, and that's what Sojourn kind of does against this Sigma comp, right? It's one of the few characters that can kind of take off angles without you expecting it, pop a quick rail, and just kind of get away. EMC Orpheus here on the defense, though, they've pivoted off of the May onto the Symmetra. It makes the Sigma a little bit more mobile, yes, but you have to play as a kind of a stacked team now, which that's perfect for the Rampage coming up.
Speaking of, the Rampage comes out, hits for the Immortality Field, being thrown down there by Nixo, but now Connor kind of in a bad spot there. Gonna be the first one to fall there. Jedi Penguin with help from almost everyone on Orpheus, gonna be able to melt them down. Look at what this does here to Ivy. They're immediately falling back, not having their tank.
Yeah, I mean, that was just kind of, you saw the potential there with the Rampage from Connor, and it did hit 4 as far as I saw, but unfortunately just EMC Orpheus was ready for it, and Ivy, the rest of the team, didn't follow up on it. So now having to find a fun little way to retake, and the question is, do they know that the entirety of EMC Orpheus is hiding in this stairwell?
I think Crimson just let them know that everyone is up there. The Flux coming out will capture a lot, but the hack coming out there from Crimson will make sure that Flux finds nothing to be coming out here from Esco. Does hit 4, does not hit Crimson though, but you do see Ivy Azure getting a lot of value. The damage also coming out here from Fancy. The barrage though from Jedi Penguin, as we're seeing a very heavily invested ultimate. Nice accretion there. Connor will be the first one to fall. Nixo finds them again with a lot of help from their teammates, but now you're just seeing Orpheus here clean up the rest of Ivy.
And the issue was just kind of the length of that fight, right? Like, Ivy, the longer that fight goes on, simply because of the composition difference, EMC is just going to have far too many resources that come back online or just be able to sustain that much longer. So Ivy's got to find a way to close these fights out just a tad bit quicker. Going over to the Reinhardt could be the answer, but I'm more looking to this overclock from Hutchie. If they can get into the backline or something, it could be big.
A nice pin will find Ink there. It's a great opener. Immortality already coming out there, but Connor will be right back to lose their own life there as Cook able to find them. The hack coming out there on to Baptiste Main. We'll take care of them there as Crimson hits them with the virus as well. But it's Cook again finding Fantasy. Nixo finding Esco, the overclock finally coming out, but it gets shut down by Cook, but it's a trade. However, at the end of the fight, it will be EMC winning it again. However, Connor coming right back in, trying to at least find one. They will, but they're not going to try to run into Jedi Penguin.
Yeah, the lone Reinhardt must bow to the Bastion. It's just kind of the old Overwatch lore, if you will. But Yeah, I mean, finally, Ivy Azure should be able to get a little bit of cart progress here, but they're still going to be stuck in this street space before another fight occurs. It's going to be rough. Potentially, Connor could build a shatter here and come out, catch everybody on EMC by surprise.
And honestly, that's probably what Ivy Azure is hoping for here. They have the shadow ready to go. You have to be watching out for the photon barrier and the shield here from Ink. Those can both block them here. But you see Connor walk through the beat. The boop comes out, but it hits no one. The shatter, it whiffs. EMC Orpheus immediately finds 2 picks off that. They're looking for 3. They're going to be able to find the 3rd. Crimson will find 1, but that's going to be the only thing Ivy Azure is able to say they got this fight.
Yeah, and what is absolutely tragic for the side of Ivy Azure is during that fight, EMC Orpheus, they use their sim ultimate, but they build every other ultimate. And now that we're going to be dipping below 90 seconds before this next fight occurs, I mean, if EMC Orpheus cycles ults properly here and gets value from them, I mean, there's not a lot IB can do.
Yeah, with that time bank getting smaller and smaller, the Ant Matrix only coming out here for Nixo to use, and immediately gets blocked off there by the Ice Wall. The Flux, though, coming out here from Ink, I believe only captures Crimson, who immediately goes to the Ice Block. Hutchie will find Nixo right there. So Ivy Azure already have sustained through 2 ultimates right there. Cook, they're going to be able to find Fantasy. However, Ivy Azure still has the numbers advantage, and that's a huge pick there, as that Symmetra has really been deadly so far for Ivy. They get rid of the teleport there, but honestly, at this point, they're going to be able to kind of safely push this maybe to point B. Jedi Penguin just backing up.
Yeah, and I mean, Ivy Azure, they were able to do a lot. They sustained through both a window and a gravitic flux without having to expend their sport ultimates at all. So now they're going to have a nice sized time bank heading into 3rd point here, but they're also going to crucially have those exact support ultimates. They can now aggressively beat engage if they want, or just throw a window down simply to give more damage to Hutchie potentially, who's coming up on another overclock.
Absolutely, but you see a battle for space right now. The Amp Matrix comes out, and oh, Connor able to find Cook right off the back there. The turret's going away right now, but you see everyone else on EMC just try to avoid that Amp Matrix. They want to respect it, and now Ivy Azure got a lot of free push.
Yeah, indeed, they're going to be coming up on the end of the map here, so now this corner fight is where things are really going to get dicey for the side of EMC Orpheus. They don't really have an answer for this Mail unless Ink is going to be able to eat it with the kinetic grasp.
Blizzard beat. Overclock come out from both sides here now. Here comes Mirage, gonna try to find whoever they can. Not gonna be able to find anyone. Really, nothing comes from those ultimates other than just being sustained. The shadow comes out from Connor, hits 2. Hutchie able to find 1. Connor able to find the other tank there, but it's Cook coming out on the main, gonna be able to shut down Connor and shut down Fantasy. Ivy Azure was looking so good to end this map here, but a couple huge plays from EMC Orpheus make sure they stop him at the doorstep.
I mean, yeah, but you had to dig your heels in for that one. It's absolutely ridiculous. Jedi Penguin switched over to the Tracer potentially for stall, but now seems like they want to stick on it, so that could be interesting going forward where this Tracer could find value. Meanwhile, Ivy Azure, they're going to have a last minute switch. Ooh, wait. Nixo hiding with the window could be a lot of damage that nobody will expect.
And remember, they did this last time, but Crimson was on the Mei, something they could easily block with. They no Mei this time for Crimson, and they get stunned out of the accretion there. Fantasy gonna be taken out here by Nixo on that high ground, and it seems like people are just starting to realize he's up there. You immediately see Esker jump off the map while everyone else for Ivy Azure just joins them back in the spawn.
Yeah, I mean, that window, Nixo absolutely came up clutch in that fight. Just simply a distraction presence as well as getting a few kills. So now the question is, Ivy Azure, you got to make it back to point. How are you going to be able to do this, especially knowing there could be a Mei wall to stop your path?
Well, you at least got to get a touch back to it if you want to even have a hope here. You see the charge there from Connor. They're going to be able to force this into an overtime. Fantasy does have an damage of their own here. If they can get set up on this high ground, it could be very good for them. But they fall down. The Blizzard coming out here from Cook. The Flux coming out from Ink as well. The Ant Matrix comes out just a little bit too late there. Crimson able to find 1, but that might be the only thing they get this round. EMC Orpheus going to be able to hold Ivy Azure.
They hold it. It wasn't the prettiest hold, but I mean, they were able to dig their heels in and get some clutch plays going. So now on the other side of it, though, Ivy, you know, that's nothing to sneer at, right? You almost completed the map. This is definitely a map that can be holdable in several different points from start to finish. So I feel as though Ivy, they definitely have some confidence behind them now for going into this defense round. But man, just you see the power of the meta comp, quote unquote, that EMC was running. Just being able to exist with a Mei Bastion for the most part, and just the raw damage you can do, the ult cycling is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. But EMC Orpheus, I mean, there was one fight there, especially on Street's phase. I want to highlight it was EMC Orpheus had 4 ultimates. Ivy Azure, I believe they only had 1 ready to go, and we were talking about how EMC Orpheus had a good opportunity there to pretty much stop him, but they had an ultimate immediately canceled out there by an ice wall. The flux that Ink had only caught Crimson, who just ice blocked to survive it, and then you slowly start to see the dominoes fall there for EMC Orpheus. They had used a lot of ultimates to try to hold it, but it was instead Ivy Azure with, I don't think, any ultimates winning that team fight there. That gives me a lot of confidence here in Ivy, that they can be able to win fights without using ultimates, and hell, even winning fights with Orpheus using ultimates and not finding anything with them.
Yeah, no, I more than agree. Like they definitely had the counterplay on deck here, and Ivy Azure, they definitely know their stuff here. But the question is, how is this defense going to fare now that both teams are on pretty similar comps? The only difference being the May instead of the Symmetra here for the side of Ivy.
Well, you see, Cook, they want to get an EMC Orpheus. They want to get them on this high ground and give them the advantage here. EMC Orpheus now is going to be on this high ground. Ivy has to kind of play from around that Mundata statue. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially which Bastion is going to go into that assault mode first, because they're going to be looking to put a lot of damage in somewhere.
Yeah, but the question is that you gain this position and now you're on the other side. So sure, that works out for you, but realistically, what are you going to achieve with it? As now Ivy Azure, they get to just play their offense over again, and you see how well they can hold.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is taking up a lot of time, but they're just waiting for the damage there from Nixo. Already 2 down for Ivy Azure, and they're looking for more. Crimson in a 1v1 here with Ink. That's never a fight you want to see, and it will be EMC Orpheus with a smart play. They're taking this first point in one fight. Connor, though, still putting up a little bit of a fight here.
Yes, indeed. You never really want to doubt the Sigma or give the Sigma a chance to bring it back, because sometimes they will. The hero is just kind of that powerful, but yeah, ultimately it does work in EMC's favor, which, shout out for them. But Ivy Azure, they're going to have a pretty solid defense here for the Streets phase, as long as they can get these ultimates to gain value, already having the Flux and the Amplification Matrix online.
Yeah, and it was huge that Connor was able to stay alive there. They could have easily staggered them out, but they were able to play it smart there, get themselves out, be alive. And like you said, they have ultimates right now that are really good at holding arches. They're coming up on the Blizzard. They are about to have the artillery here. EMC Orpheus, they already used the damage, but look at Nixo already building up to another one right now. They could open another fight with it, but the T4 come out there from EMC Orpheus. You do see the damage is coming out there from Ivy Azure. Not going to be able to find a lot of damage because Ink is eating most of it up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what you need your Sigma to do, right? The Kinetic Grasp, it just kind of is one of the best counters for Amplification Matrix. You just kind of stand in front of it, eat all the damage. As we're seeing Nixo's Flux.
Oh, the Flux comes out, but you saw Ink there try to throw that accretion, not being able to find him. The artillery doesn't find anything either. Hutchie throwing in a last chance desperation play here, trying to get something with this Blizzard, but they're going to be able to find one. That's going to be all they're able to get here as they try to run themselves out of this fight. Same thing with Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Blizzard you may want back, but at the same time, you were able to kind of force Baptiste Main to use the beat there to keep everybody sustained and alive. So now you're going to be seeing this cart move. It won't reach the end of B without another fight happening, but Ivy Azure, they definitely tapped their ult bank for that one. Meanwhile, Ink on the other side, this Gravitic Flux. So far, the Fluxes have not been too big for either side, so maybe this will be the one that gets a huge play going.
Yeah, but I'm watching out for Cook and their Photon Barrier here. That can immediately split up the entirety of Ivy Azure, especially with damage. Here comes the Flux out from Ink. Does capture 2 people in it. A lot of damage coming up, but no one dead just yet. But oh, look at that in the blink of an eye. 3 hit the dirt. Nixo will find one more as well, and this will be EMC Orpheus here getting point B.
Yes, indeed. That Photon Barrier you mentioned doesn't even have to be used just yet. So now, heading into point C with over 4 minutes on the clock, they don't even have to cap it. They just got to get pretty much all the way there. It's going to be a pretty tough ask for Ivy Azure to hold this, but if anyone's going to be able to do it, it's going to have to be off some good May walls, but you can't have Crimson die like that.
And Nixo has just been able to do so much, and they pop that damage on the high ground. But look at that, already 3 members of Ivy Azure are dead here, making all the members of Ivy Azure are dead here. And EMC Orpheus still holding on to 2 ultimates.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, right? Is they're winning these fights with just the single ultimate. Meanwhile, Ivy Azure, they're going to have a chance here, right? They're going to have beat drop to potentially try to live through whatever cacophony of ults EMC is going to throw at them here, but this is just going to be the start of the defensive hold if they want to hold it.
Damage is coming out here from Fantasy. The Photon Barrier immediately comes out there from Cook to kind of section it all off, and it's going to work out kind of good for them right there. You see Jedi Penguin still holding on to that artillery, but then now they're finally getting used to try to get some people away from the point of the beat. Immediately countered out here by Esker, but it will be Connor finding Jedi Penguin there. That's a huge start here for Azure as they desperately need something to go their way. Immortality Field coming down. Baptiste Main, though, going to be able to find Hutchie, who's now on the May. The Flux coming out, does capture 3. There's no way they can cancel this one out. They will be able to find 1 off it, make it 2, and finally Azure can be able to win a team fight and kind of just give themselves a little bit of a reset here.
Yes, indeed. They had to expend quite a lot, but I mean, when you're in this sort of defensive positioning, you're willing to invest those ultimates just a little bit extra here. Moving forward into this next fight, though, EMC Orpheus, they're going to have quite a few ultimates of their own coming online. Another amplification matrix from Nixo. They've all been so massive so far, as well as the gravitic flux from Ink. It's going to be on Connor to cancel that one.
Oh, but Jedi is able to find Hutchie out early. They had a Blizzard ready to go. Nixo, though, does have another Amp Matrix ready to go. We've seen how clutch those have been in the past. Here comes the Flux. Alperming immediately find Esker off of that there. Fantasy getting incredibly low, getting pressured here by Ink. Jedi Penguin will fly down the beat now, coming out from Baptiste Main as well does the Amp Matrix there from Nixo. And now it's just Orpheus here trying to clean up this team fight, trying to do it, and they will be able to, even through the Blizzard. No one from Azure was able to get back in time, and EMC Orpheus putting themselves onto series point.
Yeah, I mean, that always stings a little bit when the frozen people are able to capture the point. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Hutchie on the May was just a tad bit too low on HP, couldn't touch there at the end, so EMC Orpheus able to take the map away, and you gotta wonder if you're Azures that you're gonna have the next pick of maps here again. Where do you go? Do you try to force something you might be more comfortable with, or it's gonna be a hard fought battle regardless.
Yeah, it is. But we do have a little bit of a break coming up here. Give each team some time here to kind of think about what their next move is. Ivysaur probably needs it, and EMC Orpheus will probably take it as well. But we'll be right back with our third and potentially final map of the series after this short break.